Hey guys, Faramar here. I'm going to be going over some PvP tips and kind of lay out a little bit of a PvP guide. It's not going to be super hands-on with, how to play certain comps, but I'm going to give you kind of the overview, kind of how I'm feeling about PvP with ferals right now, and then yeah, we'll kind of just go from there. If you guys have any questions on this video or anything like that, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm pretty good about getting back to people, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Also, during my stream times, I don't know if anybody's following my stream, but if you are, feel free to ask questions in the chat there. I'm always willing to help. So. Also, one other thing. I was supposed to get this video out yesterday, but there was some issues with the rendering of the video, so I had to kind of I had to redo it, which was a bit of a long process, and then get the commentary and everything all set up again. So, anyways, here we are. Sorry about the late video. I will try and get better at that. It was my first time using this new software, so just wanted to lay that out there. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in. So one of the first things that I want to cover are the new talents. Well, the new talents that we'll be using in PvP, right? So one of the biggest things that people are commenting on are the benefits between Feral Frenzy versus Blood Talons. Personally, I have been enjoying Feral Frenzy more than Blood Talons. Blood Talons is not bad. It's still definitely a viable choice. I think both are viable. So it's really going to depend on your playstyle, how you're feeling, the games, things like that. The primary difference, right, is Blood Talons is going to give you more consistent damage with your bleeds, which is nice. And then it will also give you one big bite, right? Big bite. Feral Frenzy, however, gives you the instant kind of it lays out swaps, it lays out major burst damage, as well as just the freedom to kind of dot anyone and instantly switch for a bite, right? Or if you have 5 combo points, go for a CC into a bite, and then a Feral Frenzy into another bite. So it's very powerful. Bites are hitting for, I want to say the crits are like averaging about 35k against cloth users, and against plate and mail it's averaging probably about I want to say like 25k. It's not very much. So they're definitely not what they used to be. The class is more oriented around CCing. Cyclone is a major portion of your kit, and I'll be jumping into the PvP talents here shortly. So another thing that is kind of contested right now is Sabretooth and Lunar Inspiration, right? So with Sabretooth, it gives you the ability to maintain your rips much easier, right? You're maintaining one less dot, you're getting bigger ferocious bite damage, which is still not that significant, but it is 20% additional damage on your ferocious bite. It also gives you the ability to kind of flex your one combo point rips if you want. One useful thing that I've noticed with it, and you might want to try this out, is if you open with a rake into a rip on one combo point, you can actually just Feral Frenzy combo that into a Sabretooth bite, and you'll have a full rip, and it's also a bunch of upfront burst damage, right? So this is one of the swap combos I was talking about earlier. It kind of enables you to, let's say you don't have bleeds on a target, right? Previously, you need to set up your bleeds, and then you need to go for the bite, right? With this, what you can do is you can actually set up a rake into a 1 combo point or 2 combo point rip, and then easily you just Feral Frenzy into a bite. Your bleeds are still ticking, right? You've got your bonus damage on your bite with Tiger's Fury, assuming you're using Tiger's Fury with Feral Frenzy, which most cases will be. And it just lays out very easy, very fluid swaps. Once the damage buff comes through, which actually comes through Tuesday, the 7% damage buff I think is going to make our damage not amazing, but it's going to definitely help. I think you're going to see more ferals using Feral Frenzy just because it's going to make our swaps very fluid, very easy to kind of just jump in, start damaging people, and pump in the most damage possible. Alright, so that being said, I haven't played a whole bunch with Lunar Inspiration. Why? Moonfire doesn't tick much. It seems very weak. It was never a strong dot, but it just doesn't really cut it right now. The ranged combo points is nice. It just, I don't know. I don't really like the playstyle with Moonfire, so I've been sticking pretty much only Sabretooth. If anybody has any arguments why you want to run Moonfire, please feel free to comment down below, and I will definitely hear you out, and I'll get to what you have to say on that. Alright, Guardian versus Resto. Both of these are actually viable right now. So the good thing about Guardian Affinity, right, is it gives you a little bit more tankiness to survive. So one thing that I've noticed with a lot of comps right now with Feral Druid, or against Feral Druids, is they're actually training Feral Druids down even more than last time. I've been versing Turbo Cleaves, and they pretty much only go onto the Feral Druid, which is kind of abnormal because Turbo Cleave in the past has always just sat on the healer. But I think the thing is, now that Ferals have clones, we're a little bit more of a threat in terms of our CC ability. You couldn't really stop our damage from training us, but now you can definitely try and stop Cyclones. So I think that's kind of the thing. So Guardian is used in a lot of games. However, I'll be going over the comps. If you're running with like a Mage, I actually prefer Resto because the Mage is actually going to get trained more, right? Because they're trying to stop the polymorphs. With an Ellie Shaman, I typically was running Guardian because I was the train target, and then with a Marksmanship Hunter, I was also running Guardian because I was the train target. So you're gonna have to feel it out, kind of see what people are going against. The meta will shift again, right? People will start figuring out, oh, should I go on this guy? Should I go on that guy? But as of right now, that's typically the guidelines. You'll get a feel for it. RMPs, you should always run Guardian Affinity. Yeah. Alright, so Soul versus Incarn. Incarn is good, but it's not as good as Soul. Incarn's been nerfed so much, it just doesn't have the feeling they used to. Like, you pop it and it's okay. Like, before, if you popped Incarn, man, like, people were running for the hills. Like, they couldn't get away from you faster, or fast enough. So, you kind of, I don't know, I feel like Incarn is just the way to, Soul is just the way to go right now. It gives you additional 5% damage on your ferocious bites, which is pretty huge. It gives you 5% on your rips, and it also refunds the energy that you're spending on your ferocious bites. So overall, I feel like it has more performance. Alright, so let me see here. Excuse me. PvP talents. So Cyclone, I'm running every game. I am 100% Cyclone. Why? It's just too good. Even the comps where my Cyclone might be DR'd, it is too good. It's such a great CC. It's the best CC in the game, in my opinion. I think in most people's opinions, that's the go-to. Maybe some people argue Polymorph, but I think Cyclone is by far the strongest CC ability in the game. Ferocious Wound versus King of the Jungle. Alright, here's a couple different playstyles you can consider. When running with an Ellie Shaman, the Ellie Shaman is going to do most of your damage. Most of the damage in the comp. When running with a Marksmanship Hunter, same thing. When running with a Mage, you're actually going to be sometimes putting out more damage than the Mage. In most cases, I think I was putting out more damage than the Mage. So, what I was getting to there, Ferocious Wound is very important with FMP. It's not so important with Marksman or Ellie. If you're running with a Marksmanship Hunter or an Ellie, I was actually kind of favoring going King of the Jungle, right, with Blood Talons. And why? Because then I can just put Empowered Bleeds on everyone, right? And basically I was the CC bot. All I would do is I would weaken people up, right? I would barely use my bites, and I would just go and I would jump over to the healer, and then I would just bash them into a Cyclone, and then put them into another Cyclone. And during the CC chain, right, if they didn't have a trinket, they were done for. So something to kind of keep in mind here is that with those comps, you're mostly going to be the CC bot. You're no longer the damage bot that you used to be for the past couple expansions. So keep that in mind. That might be a playstyle you want to test out. King of the Jungle gives you speed buffs and healing buffs, so it also will help you when you're being trained. If you run it with Primal Wrath and you're against a Turbo Cleave, it actually gives you almost permanent movement speed, which is pretty huge. Try it out. I think a lot of people are against it, but it actually felt pretty good in a lot of matchups. I don't know if I got my complete thoughts out on that, but I am on a time limit here with the amount of footage that I was able to get over the weekend, which is kind of limited. If I feel like I missed something or I didn't fully flesh this out, feel free to ask a question, or I will be filling out or creating a new video to kind of maybe tackle that playstyle a little bit more to kind of flesh that out for people. And then Ferocious Wound is also very good. If you're going to be playing FMP, I think Ferocious Wound is the way to go. Gives you the kind of the feral MS, which just, you know, it just reduces their health, doesn't reduce the amount of healing, right? But it also allows your mage to just kind of global people, which is nice. Yeah, so check it out. Don't judge King of the Jungle yet. I think it's definitely something that's viable. Rip and Tear. So, Rip and Tear is something that people have just kind of memed. Like, it's just kind of a meme. Nobody really runs it. It's kind of there. Something that I was trying out was a kind of a cast sequence macro, and if anybody's interested in this, some people might not be. Most people probably aren't. I was actually testing out like a different kind of playstyle where I was kind of hitting one target, and then I would go for the CC into the bash into the clone on the healer, and then we would make a hard swap onto another target, and this actually worked quite a bit. So check it out. Basically, the cast sequence macro will it will use your on use trinket, and then it will Rip and Tear. So it puts a full Rip and Tear up, right? And then you use a Feral Frenzy immediately after into a Ferocious Bite. Then you got your full bleeds, you got your big Ferocious Bite. Like, it's actually pretty good. It's kind of what I was describing earlier with the one combo point Rip, but it feels good. So check it out. It's also really good if you're running King of the Jungle. You can quickly put up bleeds on 2 targets and get away because of the 10% speed boost, along with the healing buff that you get. So, anyways, Rip and Tear I don't think is as bad anymore, just because we are a little bit energy starved, and it does kind of take care of that. So check it out. And then, okay, so now you've got some utility talents, right? We got a little bit more options here. With Heart of the Wild, we kind of packed our Protector's Grove with our, I always forget the name of it, but it's the one that gave us Big Bear form, right? Now, it also gives you an 8% damage, or an 8% flat damage to an enemy, with your Maul, your Enraged Maul, which actually does a little bit of damage. Obviously, most against Clothies, it's basically that flat 8%, but against Plate and Mail, it's not really anything notable. But against Clothies and Leatherwares, it's actually pretty good. It also gives you the ability to kind of go Guardian Affinity with the Heart of the Wild, and I kind of hinted at this in my 8.1 video, but it gives you the ability to kind of go Heart of the Wild with your Guardian Affinity, and while you are very tanky, it also gives you that Protector the Grove buff, so your regrowths are always critting on your allies, and then you kind of get that for you. So check it out. It's actually a really good ability. I think most games I'm actually running it. Then you got Leader of the Pack, also very popular ability, gives you the flat 5% crit, and then also heals your allies whenever they're crit, for 4% of their health. The heal is actually not that notable. I don't think that is very impressive. The 5% crit, though, is pretty huge, so it was kind of hard to argue against it, just because the nature of the 5% crit gives you a little bit more damage overall. It's good. I don't know if it's the best, though. I think I would still run most cases Heart of the Wild over it. Savage Momentum is also really good. I wasn't running it a whole lot though. Although with the caster cleave, it's very caster heavy meta right now. You get a lot of usage out of it, right? You're getting tons of kicks. So check it out. It's not bad. I think Heart of the Wild still probably outperforms it a little bit. I think if they brought back maybe the instant Tiger's Fury resets, it would be a little bit better, but it's not horrible. I think it's definitely an option. And then Thorns, also still really good against melee cleaves, especially. So if you're running against like a turbo cleave, I would run it. If you're running against TSG, I would run it. If you're running against even an RMP sometimes, although in that case, usually you're gonna run Heart of the Wild. But it's there. Thorns is still really strong. I would recommend running against any double melee cleave. Alright, so that's a bit of a mouthful. Like I said, if you have questions, feel free to ask below. Azerite traits. I was a little bummed out that this didn't work, but I wanted to try out the Masterful Instincts, right? Unfortunately, in PvP combat, it appears to have been nerfed by about a third. I don't know if this was in a patch notes or anything, but whereas when you're outside of PvP, it gives you about 2300 mastery if you have like all 375/390 pieces, and I actually got 150k crit on my bite. It was against a PvP target, so I guess it just didn't render the PvP reduction on the mastery, but I wish that it worked in I really wish that it worked in PvE or PvP. Because your bites do hit very hard with it. You basically are using your survival instincts as a wings, but yeah. So, anyways, no good. Gets nerfed too much in PvP. Gushing Lacerations. There's been a lot of talk on this talent or Azerite trait. It seems to be nerfed or bugged. A lot of people are saying it should be doing a lot more damage, right? I think they just reworded it though. I don't know. So this one's kind of just on the jury right now. We'll see what happens to it in future patches. See maybe if it is a bug that the damage didn't all go through. Didn't seem too impressive to me. Some people were really, really liking it. Like I had some people come in my chat and they were like, "This is the way to go, hands down." I'm like, okay, all right. You know, I tried it. It didn't seem too great to me, but if it's working for them, go for it. Jungle Fury. This one is one of the best Azerite traits, as predicted. I think it's going to be one of the go-tos for ferals pretty much the whole meta. It's good. Battlefield Focus, I think, is right now our best Azerite trait. Sometimes it is top of my damage. Most times it's top 3 of my damage, and every time it's always been in the top 6 of my damage. It's at least baseline 10% of my damage per game. So that's pretty huge. Definitely, if you have double Battlefield Focus, run it. And then Retaliatory Fury is something that I don't think a lot of people really have been considering, but it gives you a mastery buff, right? Which our mastery is super important right now, as well as giving you an absorb shield. It's only like 2k absorb shield, but it's something. I like this one a lot. My go-to setup so far with Azerite traits has been 2 Battlefield Focus and either a Jungle Fury or Retaliatory Fury. Both of those feel good, and I'm enjoying both of them. So I would definitely check them out. Kind of just flex on it, see what works for you. All right, minor Azerite traits. Not really anything notable. You got your typical resounding protection. You got the bark skin / survival instincts one, and then the new one is switch hitter, which I think is very important, especially if you're running resto affinity. So if you're running resto affinity most games, which you probably are, then it's actually super good. It'll give a big shield on your whoever you swift mend. It's just a very good support kind of flavorful Azerite trait. I'm actually enjoying it a lot. Stats. Alright, we'll go into stats now. And sorry if I'm moving a little fast-paced at this video. Please give me feedback in the comments if you think that I'm going too fast, or if I could have done this video a little differently. Let me know. So, stats are going to be mostly mastery into verse, but mastery into haste is also good. So I've kind of laid it out to where if I have a mastery haste piece, right, I'm going to run the mastery haste piece. If I've got a mastery verse piece, I'm going to run the mastery verse piece. But if I have both a mastery haste and a mastery verse piece, I do favor versatility a little bit more than haste. So it's kind of just how you want to run. I think haste is good, but I don't think it's as good as it used to be. So check it out, but I think mastery versatility is going to be our stat priority. So the comps that I've been running, right, and this would be kind of the last segment of the video, is Feral Ellie. The typical playstyle for Feral Ellie is the Ellie is going to do a majority of your damage, and you basically soften up a target, give them a bite or something, you know, lower their health maybe, double dot as much as possible, and then just go bash the healer into 2 clones at least, and typically the kill target will die. If your Ellie is able to get a hex on the off target, it makes the game so much easier. So check it out. It's actually a really good comp, and I think it's going to be one of Feral's best comps. Feral MM Hunter, and I say MM, right, because MM has the damage. It has the damage to help support the lack of feral damage right now, which might not be ideal on Tuesday, but yeah. It's basically jungle cleave. You bash into a trap, into clones, and the hunter is going to do most of the damage. You're going to run Feral Frenzy, you're going to double bite people, and things drop pretty heavily, especially cloth heavy comps. This one tears into caster cleaves. So if you're running into a ton of caster cleaves, find yourself a marksmanship hunter and just go at it. Like, it's a good comp. Feral Frost Mage or Arcane Mage is the stats or the specs of choice for FMP. Frost Mage is a little bit more controlled, so you get a little bit more cyclones, and it feels good. Arcane is a little bit more damage, right? So basically you're going to play it just like you're running the Ellie, the Feral Ellie. You're softening targets up, and you're just going, CCing people, controlling the game mostly, and just having fun. So, yeah. I'll be posting more guides on... I'll post actual guides on the comps if you guys are interested. Let me know in the chat. And, yeah. So, some closing remarks, right? Sorry I got this video out a little bit late. I didn't mean to. I had some issues with the software that I'm using to render the videos, so we'll see what happens. Let me know if you guys liked the format of the video. I don't know if you like having me talking over just some games I have in the background, or if you want just a montage clip, right, where you want all the games with some cool music in the background, things like that. I can do that. Just let me know. For the guides, if you want guides, let me know if you want a little more hands-on, or if you want me to kind of just give a quick explanation, maybe like a 5-minute video on some of the comps, maybe a little bit more of a matchup kind of oriented kind of thing. Yeah, so I think that's everything I wanted to say, but let me know if I went a little bit fast. I was trying to get through all the content I have, and like I said, it was kind of hard finding games this weekend, so just because ferals are kind of, you know, they're not the most notable thing. They're getting a lot of bad press right now, so anyways, I think I can get more games going into this week. I know I can. Made some new Ellie Shaman and Marksmanship Hunter friends, so I'll definitely be playing some more of those comps. And then I've got my classic FMP teams. So, anyways, if you guys like the video, please let me know down in the comments. If you have any feedback, whether it be harsh or not, I'm just trying to get the most helpful content out to you guys as possible. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll kind of let this. I'll let it run a little bit, kind of finish up the last clip of PvP I have. Maybe one more. Sorry. The editing software is a little bit difficult for me right now, just because I'm new to it. But, yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.